Chelsea Football Club are in third. Even if Arsenal win, they will probably stay in third unless Arsenal have a huge win against Forest. And if someone had said to me at the start of the season that Chelsea, after 12 games, would be above Arsenal in third place, I'd have been like, nah, they wouldn't be. Because I think that Chelsea have good players and I think they had a good squad, but I was like, okay, Maresca's going to have to come in. It's very different to Pochball. He's going to have to rebuild sort of this team in the chaos that is Chelsea. And while Chelsea have good players, I was like, oh, maybe they needed a striker, maybe they needed another centre back. There was a few question marks around Chelsea's transfer window. Now, Nicholas Jackson, I've always actually rated Nicholas Jackson, thought he was a good player, but he has been fantastic this season. I always thought he was a lot better than you got credit for last season, but he's been fantastic this season. He was fantastic today. We're going to talk about that. But we're going to talk about Chelsea. We're going to talk about this game versus Leicester because Chelsea had 2.64 XG. Chelsea should have been 3-0 up at half-time and they should have wrapped that game up. I think a lot of Chelsea fans might not be 100% happy with that game because of how close the scoreline is and how Chelsea had this really good sort of 25-30 minutes where they were like boom, 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 boom. And then I think Chelsea 1-0 up and they're like, these guys are shit. That's what I think Chelsea said about Leicester. And Chelsea sort of just stayed in first gear for the rest of the match. And it was from Chelsea looking like they could be 3-0 up at half-time to Chelsea sort of being 1-0 up, staying in first gear, scoring that second goal. To be fair, the Palmer chance with Madueke blocking it on the line, that would have been, after that 3-0 done, they had 4 big chances to Leicester's 1. And I think, I saw a few Chelsea fans like, oh, rubbish game. But it's like, I wouldn't say it's a rubbish game. I just think that Leicester were bad. Chelsea just took their foot off the gas, were quite comfortable in it. And I think that Chelsea should have been 3-0 up at half-time. I think Chelsea were dominant. I think Chelsea showed their level. They just didn't put the ball in the back of the net. And it could have been one of those games like Crystal Palace where Chelsea dropped a point. This is what happened when Tottenham played Leicester. They dropped a point. But Chelsea got the second goal, and at the end of the day, I think indeed he should have been sent off. I think the penalty, he tripped himself. I think the penalty that wasn't given was more of a penalty than a penalty that was given, if you want my honest opinion. I'm not that bothered about talking about referees, but I do think Ndidi in particular should have been sent off. But if you look at the XG, the expected threat, obviously it's not all about stats and stuff, but that can give you sort of an idea. Chelsea were very much in control. Chelsea were very dominant. I want to talk about Enzo Fernandez. I want to talk about a couple other players. I want to talk about Joao Felix. I thought he was impressive. And I also want to talk about, of course, Nicholas Jackson. But I'm just going to give you my general thoughts on the game, my general thoughts on Chelsea, and then we're going to get into some individual players. So let's dive into the match. So, as I said, I thought Chelsea this season, I know this game was a bit in the second half, but I think this season Chelsea have been the second most exciting team to watch after Liverpool in terms of on the eye. And I say exciting, more like in terms of if I'm taking my bias away from the fact that I support Manchester United and I'm looking at the perspective of who are the best teams to watch. Unfortunately, Liverpool are the best team to watch in terms of the sense that they are the best team on the eye, they're the best team in the league on points, and the best team statistically. Man City is second, Arsenal fourth, but I think when watching Chelsea, they've looked better than Man City and Arsenal, if you get what I'm saying. I think Liverpool have looked the best, followed by Chelsea this season. I think Chelsea have actually looked better than Man City and Arsenal this season. They're a bit more convincing. Now, Chelsea actually lead the league in goals and chances created in away games this season. They are a very exciting team to watch. They are a team that I think today, over the first 25 minutes, maybe it wasn't full flow, but in transitions, in attack, they are an exciting team to watch. They know what they're doing. They're good on the eye. I think Ndidi should have been sent off. As I said earlier, I think it was a blatant red, and I would be very annoyed if I was a Chelsea fan that he didn't get sent off for that. I do think that Leicester were really I think Joao Felix was fouled as well. Leicester really were almost like looking to injure Chelsea. It was quite mad there. But all in all, solid performance. Scoreline could have been more decisive. Chelsea didn't really get out first gear. The intensity, maybe at post-international break, a bit of tiredness, the intensity dropped a bit. Chelsea could have been 2-3-0 up. But I thought Chelsea, the football they're playing under Maresca is enjoyable. I think there's clear individual player development. You can see that Maresca is improving the players. They're playing good football. They're scoring goals. Defensively, there's always been room for improvement. They're not keeping many clean sheets, but I thought the individuals in defence did really well today. I think Maresca's doing tactical adjustments in games like today. It was more of a diamond, a 4-1-4-1. And I thought that actually when you watch Chelsea in terms of counter-attacking, again, only Liverpool are better than them. Only Liverpool are better than Chelsea on the eye this season. I think Chelsea to watch, to see the player development, how Maresca sets them up. I think the fact that Maresca's been here not very long and in the chaos of everything that's happened at Chelsea the last few seasons, I think he's done a fantastic job. Now let's talk about Nicholas Jackson. 28 touches, 6 touches in the opponent's box, 5 duels won, which is really impressive for a striker. I think Nicholas Jackson, in terms of his pressing, his movement, his work rate, is a part of his game that's really underrated. 1 possession 3 times. He really likes to get involved, win it back. He's got that aggression to him, which was actually quite important in the goal. 3 shots on target, 2 tackles created, 1 chance created, 1 goal. I thought Jackson was great. That cross to Madueke, I believe, on his weak foot right at the end of the first half, really good cross. And I think with Jackson, you could see a striker that doesn't just score, but he's got more clinical. I think the biggest criticism of Jackson was he wasn't the most clinical. He'd get in the right areas, he'd improve the play around him, but he wasn't the most clinical. But I think Jackson's been a lot more clinical this season. I think confidence, age, development, but he influences the game, he gets involved, which is why he's really impressive. And if you look at statistics, now this was said before this game on November 19th by Data MP, but for assists and accelerations, he's first for Premier League strikers. For non-penalty goals and expected goals, he's second, showing he's getting into the right areas and that Chelsea are creating a lot. And for key passes and shot assists, he's second, and dribble success rate, he's second. So when you look at his metrics as a striker in the league, there's so many metrics in terms of passing, getting involved, dribbling, assisting, the link up and the goals and the XG to show they're getting in the areas that Jackson has. And when you think that Chelsea only spent 30 or so million on him and how young he is, Chelsea look better with him in the team and he's getting more clinical. I think there's a good player there. 7 goals and 3 assists in 12 appearances for Chelsea. Only Haaland and Watkins have more non-penalty league goals than Jackson since the start of last season, which shows how well he's been doing. And I think Jackson's one of those where people will just highlight his misses and trying to make out he's bad. But when you've actually watched him play, you know that he's been good. He's better on the eye to watch than Ollie Watkins, but Ollie Watkins is a lot more clinical, is more like a Haaland. I think there's strikers that are clinical and proper box strikers, and then there's strikers that get involved in play and influence play. And I think Jackson's someone that influences play. Good finish, good goal, showed the persistence, showed the intensity, good weak foot cross. I think he's very technically skilled. Off the ball movement, I think he was really important in the build up to the goal. Him and Enzo Fernandez, particularly on that left hand side, I thought they were working quite well together in that area, drawing out defenders, creating space. And I think that he's evolving into a much better striker because he's got a good touch, he's got good movement, he can dribble, he can pass, he can link up play. I think his passing, crossing and scoring is now becoming underrated, particularly his goal scoring. And I think, phase, rubbish, could have done a lot better, but the physical strength, the dominance he showed, the goals he's getting, the confidence he's getting, the running. And I think that, again, this is a player that has been a good player last season at Chelsea, but I feel like he's really developing as a player under Maresca. And I think Maresca, the security of his system and the fact that there's a lot of chances being created for Jackson also helps him. But I think his overall performance has been very, very good. And if you look at goals for Chelsea in the Premier League, he's got 21. Torres only managed 20, and then Torres was fantastic at Liverpool. Enzo Fernandez was the other player that shined today. 6 goal contributions his last 4 games. He was fantastic in that game versus Noah, but it was Noah FC. So you had to take it with a pinch of salt. But I thought Enzo Fernandez was fantastic today versus Leicester. I think he does better when he plays a bit deeper. And he was a little bit deeper because it was more of a 4-4-1. But when he's deeper or wide midfield, it's okay. But when he's an 8, I feel like you don't get the best out of him because he can dictate play from a little bit deeper. But I also feel that Enzo, because it's him and Cole Palmer split, the defenders have to split responsibility. And I think that Cole Palmer's been given a bit more space and license when Enzo is there making runs, drawing out defenders, if that makes sense. But he created 3 chances today, got a goal, got an assist. I think with Enzo, he is a deep line playmaker. That is who he is. He's not like someone that crashes the box, but he did that today. He's a deep line playmaker. And I thought he was fantastic today. 1 goal, 3 shots, 1 assist, 3 key passes, 47 accurate passes, 7 out of 9 duels won. He was everywhere. His ground coverage as well, something that, some of his off the ball work, his ground coverage was really good today. And 5 tackles. So the most tackles, the most key passes, a goal and assist. He was clearly the man of the match. I think Jackson had a good game, but I think Enzo clearly was the man of the match. I thought he was really, really impressive today. And I said that Palmer dropping into spaces and Enzo's movement, it works better. I think Lavia and Caicedo bring that security, but I think with Enzo, he brings a bit more creativity and his movement can give Palmer a bit more space. And I feel Palmer looks better with Enzo. But diving into more, this is what I said on Enzo after the Noah game. So the italic slanted writing is actually writing from pre-international break, which I said, this is my thoughts on Enzo pre-international break, that someone screenshotted and said they agreed with me on this, and I'm going to read this out again. I think he's been inconsistent at Chelsea this season, but I think the last 4 or 5 games he's been really good. I think one of the reasons for him being inconsistent is he doesn't quite suit how he's been utilised and played. I think he'd been misused at times. I think he is one of Chelsea's most intelligent players and most creative after Cole Palmer in a weird sense. I think as a deep line playmaker in the game versus Noah, controlled the game, set the tempo, built Chelsea's momentum, and that was his best role. He was a little bit higher today, but not as high as he had been deployed earlier in the season. I think he allows Chelsea to create space because of his movement. He can dictate the game, and I think he's someone that does get scapegoated because of his price. You'd expect more from him, which is fair. But I think he can become a bit of a scapegoat. I think he moves the ball quickly. I think he's got a good touch. I think he's got a creativity. I think he's got reading of the game. I just think in the bigger games, Lavia and Caicedo give a little bit more stability. But I think if he was playing a double pivot with Enzo and Caicedo and Enzo was a bit deeper, it could work. Part of me's always wanted to see Enzo in the deeper role, maybe Caicedo go up, but then I think Caicedo's probably better defensively. But I feel like Enzo's a little bit deeper when he can dictate the play, but then also has the license to get forward and make those runs and be creative because he's quite a creative player as well. And I think he's a good player in Enzo, and I think he can create space. I think he can dictate the game from deep, and I thought that he was really impressive today. And I think he's been impressive the last few games. I said here, again, these were notes, excels in a deeper role, can contribute to the attack, goals and assists today, movement, create space, drawing defenders. I think Palmer does better when Enzo plays, and I don't think Palmer had his best game today, but I still think Palmer was all right. I saw people saying Palmer was bad. I think Palmer's set such high expectations of himself that he's got to get a goal and assist every match because of how good he's been. We know Palmer can put 10 out of 10 performances in. Palmer was a 7 out of 10 today. It was a good performance, but because it wasn't a 9 or 10 out of 10 like everyone's so used to, people will say Palmer's bad because he's a victim of his own standard. But I thought Palmer had a good game. He was all right. Do you know what I mean? I think the movement from Enzo helps create space, and I think the opponents have to focus on marking Enzo and Palmer, which means Palmer gets a bit more space, and that's why I think Palmer can be better when Enzo's on the pitch. But then I think that Lavia and Caicedo as a pivot works really well. But I think 6 assists and 1 goal in the last 5 games or something as well. The rotations, particularly in the first half, between Enzo and Palmer, well, I think they connect well and stuff. These are my thoughts on defence. I actually don't want to make this video too long. Defence was good. Cucurella, really good in tight spaces, really good at keeping the ball. Really impressed me. Badiashile, I thought had a good game. I thought that looked like the Badiashile that I think Chelsea fans have been wanting to see for a while. 5 out of 8 long balls as well. I thought he did a good job. I thought Chelsea, a bit unlucky with the penalty, but I thought Chelsea were quite solid defensively. 4 interceptions. Fofana really impressed me. I think him and Colwill are doing well when it goes sort of a back 3 in possession. I think the defensive work of Fofana was very good. I think he brings a bit of stability down the flank. I think he's a good wide channel defender. And yeah, I think that, Colwill and Fofana, they complement each other well. I think Fofana did really well in the right back role because when it went into a back 3, he seemed to have that channel locked up defensively. And I thought, his carrying forward was good. If you look at the ball carrying statistics here, progression via carry, Fofana is at the top, progression via pass, Badiashile and Colwill's at the top. I thought the Chelsea in possession, that back 3 of Fofana, Badiashile, Colwill with obviously Cucurella sort of inverting a bit more. I thought those 3 in build-up were fantastic today. And I think Chelsea knew they were going to dominate possession, and that's probably what they wanted to do. But I thought Fofana at right back, Badiashile left centre back, Colwill other centre back. I thought that they actually were really good in build-up and very comfortable on the ball. And I think Maresca probably knew they were going to dominate possession, so went with those technical players that can break the lines. And then I thought Joao Felix was fantastic. Neto, I don't know if he's injured or ill or something, but Joao Felix, 9 duels won, 5 times possession won, 5 touches in opposition's box, 4 successful take-ons, 3 shots, 3 tackles, 2 fouls won, 1 chance created. I think particularly in that first 20 minutes, he was catching the eye, really looking to get involved. I think with Joao Felix, he's been criticised a lot in terms of work rate, but I thought his work rate was fantastic today. I thought he was running, he was trying to get back, running, really tracking the ball, trying to get involved. In the first half, it was 6 duels, 3 take-ons, 2 tackles made. Really impressive first half, but I think he keeps the ball well. I think he played with energy. I think he had skill. He was keeping it well in tight spaces. He looked like he wanted to make something happen, and maybe unlucky not to get a goal and assist, but I think particularly in those first 25 minutes, he was really, really, really good. And I think that was a good performance from Felix, who I think has been, some people criticise him for his work rate, but he really tried today. And as I said, I think Cole Palmer did all right. I think he did absolutely fine today. Progression via pass, 5.53. Progression via carry, 2.17. Expected threat, I don't think it was Cole Palmer's best game, but Cole Palmer's best games have been 10 out of 10s. And I think that he did the job today and was unlucky not to score because Madueke blocked it. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Bye.